I'm Lee Davis. I wanted to make a video introduction to the audiobook presentation of my new novel, At the Heart of Atrocity, which is now available in Kindle and paperback formats from Amazon.com. If you are a recipient of this, I just want you to know it's for a good reason. This was made for friends and various inspirations to me, people whose work has influenced me and in some way, shape, or form, people that have just moved me by their work. And the point of making an audiobook was naturally so the story could be absorbed on the go without asking these people who are obviously very busy with their own projects and work and don't have a whole lot of time to spare, can hopefully experience the book on the go. So that being said, this is obviously not a very professional presentation. The audiobook itself, I'm not looking for critiques of my lack of voice acting or narration skills. This is strictly to promote the book. And I'm sorry, Oreo's over here. Let me introduce Oreo real quick. Hey, buddy. This is Oreo who kept me company while I was creating this, and he's been a real good friend throughout the process, despite the allergies he gave me, which is part of the reason why my voice starts to sound a little stuffy at times. And he's just looking at me, wondering why I'm talking to this inanimate object. He doesn't understand that I'm actually addressing my friends and the people who have inspired me. Anyway, let me move along. Let me talk about the book real quick. I do work for children's books and a lot of things where I don't really, projects which I really love, but then of course there's a build-up. Me being a lover of horror, there's a lot of other things that I want to do, and this was an all-me project. This is just something I really want to do. Anyway, I love writing horror, even if it's not as accessible to a broader audience. Okay, all right. A couple issues I'd just like to address about the story. Being that it's a very cathartic experience, there's a lot of different things I address. In particular, things that upset me in real life. You take, for example, and it's upsetting even to talk about naturally, but for example, I'm having my car worked on the other day, and as I'm sitting there, I'm trying to read a book, Brian Lumley book, by the way. As I'm sitting there, the news is on, so news doesn't always have real sunshiny things to talk about, and in particular, this at one point they start talking about a home invasion, which happens. It's a very horrific thing. That there are some very evil and terrible people out there, and it starts talking about a home invasion, and like I said, this is upsetting even to talk about. They talk about the people being convicted, put away for this terrible crime. The people in the jury had to excuse themselves. They were just losing it. Obviously, I was losing it just hearing the story related to me. But the things these two horrible, terrible, monstrous individuals did upon just breaking into this house, involving the rape and murder of the daughter and mother. And as I'm sitting there trying to, I shouldn't say ignore it. We have to acknowledge that there's very evil people out there, and we need to obviously defend ourselves and our loved ones. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, if they could just give me some sharp utensils and just say, go at it, Lee, just put me in a room alone with these guys, I could probably vent some of my anger and frustration out on these guys, but I don't think they offer jobs like that, which so I can't what those guys are obviously getting what they deserve in prison right now, I hope. But as upset as stuff like this makes me, I can use it when I'm writing. When I'm writing and there's very bad people, the protagonists, the good people, if you will, that are going up against very, very evil things, can just do whatever they want. It's fiction, and that's part of the therapeutic process. Is all these things that upset me in real life are kind of just taken out through the fiction medium. And that kind of goes over to my whole stance that horror and even you know, I've talked about it, heavy metal, just a lot just a lot of things, very aggressive art forms, you know, are you know, when some idiot sees it at face value and says, oh, this guy's obviously very messed up, it's not always like that. You got to take time out and actually experience the work and understand what the hell's going on and why. You know, you can't just say, oh, it's got this bloody, maniacal, evil cover, this guy's obviously, you know, deranged. I've dealt with that crap my whole life, and you know, what can you do? You know, you stand up for it, but and you can't really count on people just trying to understand what's going on. Too many people are just it's just too easy for them to look at something that's outside of their tiny little box, their little narrow mind, and get an idea of what's going on. There's anyway, vented that talking about being cathartic there. Another thing, obviously, that really bothers me. Well, first, I'm not a vegetarian. I can't. I'm not against eating meat because I eat meat. I can't. I can't be a hypocrite like that. But obviously, you don't want to think that the animals that you're eating were tortured on their way to being eaten. I can accept that they're killed in a humane, you know, swift fashion. I won't get real deep into all that, but obviously pointless, needless animal torture really upsets me when I hear about it. When you hear about these awful, atrocious things committed, and that's another thing, you can't really do anything about it. You know, you're not in charge of. I mean, oh gosh, I'm losing myself. Well, I hear these horrible stories about people just needlessly brutalizing these animals for no reason whatsoever. It has nothing to do with the actual, just, you know, end the animal's life and turn it into burgers and sandwiches and stuff. You know, obviously, really terrible, awful, atrocious things. And one real therapeutic thing for me when I'm writing, if I hear about a person who has brutally mauled a dog for no reason or just whatever, you know, I like to kind of turn it around on that person in the fiction. You know, I've always said, you know, how would this person like it if he were to suddenly find himself in a situation where the tables have been turned and he's the one who's gonna kind of feel the way he made this well, in the case of the story, it's a pig, needlessly, brutally hurting a pig. Just for the sake and just for the fun of it, and my protagonist gets to kind of turn things around on these very bad people. You'll see when you read the story. I wanted to share that stuff. Okay, let's just talk a little bit about my work. Like I said, I've done children's books. I have a few of them here. The horror author Scott Nicholson I've worked with, and we have done a couple children's books. If I Were Your Monster, Too Many Witches. This is one my wife wrote. It's called A Guide to Kitties. It's actually based on Oreo here, as a matter of fact, who we love very much. I have done work for the wonderful Strange Yawns magazine and Planet Lovecraft magazine. Here's just a couple examples right there. It's a great magazine. On the side, I've recorded death metal, which is tongue-in-cheek death metal. It's more for fun. You can even see reflections of my writing style even in the song titles, for example. You know, there's to torture an animal, torture is obviously a popular concept with me. Here's some other audiobooks I've done in the past. This book is not released. That's the audiobook presentation of it. I use very shoddy equipment for that one. I'm not very happy with how it turned out. Here's a novella. This is another one. Yeah, just a very common theme is evil people just kind of getting an ironic punishment is very common, and that's what that novella deals with very much. Blah blah blah. This is the PDF version of a graphic novel I wrote. Obviously a horror graphic novel. This is Gross. This is actually a promotional video I did. It's not animated. It's a narrated comic. Gross is the more all ages comic I've done. That was my original graphic novel. was the first gross. Um, Fun stuff, a lot of work. There's a comic anthology I've appeared in by Kenny Keene, who's a great artist and writer. Okay, yeah, my first novella. This was a young adults novella. I made it a little more all ages. I made the writing scheme a little more appealing to older audiences as well. So you can call it a young adults novel, but it's really, I think this is for everybody basically. And this is my other side. It deals with just doing the right thing, but there's no torture and blood and crazy stuff that you're gonna find in At the Heart of Atrocity. Once more, At the Heart of Atrocity is a book that was just for me. I did all the things I wanted to do that really kind of take a nosedive into R-rated territory. This is not for younger readers. You know, I'm dealing with very ugly topics, very scary things. So yeah, Torn Realities is from Postmortem Press. This features a short story of mine called The Residents of Mossy Rock, which is kind of an introduction to the novel. It's same town, different characters and everything, but same town. So the mythology is also represented in this story. And yes, Clive Barker was in that book too, which I was very excited about, especially when I heard that at first he didn't want to contribute a story, but then when he heard that I was in it, he was like, oh, well, of course. I'm joking, of course. But I love Clive Barker. He has been a huge inspiration to me. I love his outer work, and I love his artistic aesthetic. I love how he blends light and dark. There's another one, Mon Corps Mort, or My Dead Heart. I don't speak French, so I probably pronounced it all wrong. Yeah, I have a story in that. Here's where I got to do a short zombie tale. Also, all these are for Postmortem Press. Lots of great talent in there. That's a fair chunk of my work right there. Looking around here just in case I see anything else. I think that's about it. Let's see. I guess I've talked for a little over 12 minutes. If you watch this long, let me just close this out by just talking to a couple people. I want to make mention of some people that I met recently who were really cool. I was in San Diego recently for the big thingamabopper convention, whatever, and I met some fantastic people who I never thought I'd get to meet in person. And I just want to make mention of them. In particular, Reggie Bannister and his wife. I hope I'm saying her name right. Gigi Bannister. Reggie was a great guy. Just real cool to meet him. Really cool to meet him. So obviously I came home and been watching all the Phantasm movies again. Who else did I meet? I met Kane Hodder, who was Jason Voorhees. He was really cool to talk to. He's very intimidating, but he's such a nice guy. I kind of, that takes the edge off. Once you talk to him, you get a little less frightened. Sid Haig and Erwin Keyes, two kind of monstrous actors who were they're some of the friendliest guys you could ever hope to meet. Oh, and I'm sure I'm forgetting tons, but Roman Dirge, also the creator of the Lenore comics, who's also worked on Invader Zim and many other things. I think he's working on the show Moral Oral right now, doing work for Cartoon Network or something. But I just happened to meet him at the bus stop, and it was great to meet one of my inspirations in person like that. I could make a real long list of really cool people, but I'll just cut it. I think that's most of the people I met in San Diego. Oh yeah, and the South Park animators. Didn't meet Trey and Matt, but their animators were really cool guys. It was a real pleasure to get to talk to them. And of course, needless to say, also the people who've been so helpful and instrumental. Kelly Young and Nick from Strange Eons, Scott Nicholson for the chance to work on those children's books, Dean Koontz for his kindness. Yeah, if I forgot your name, oh yeah, Alan Rowe Kelly, of course, who's been a very kind person, and I love his movies. Caroline Williams, who I missed at San Diego Comic-Con, and I was very sad about that. But she's been very friendly, a very kind woman, and also you know, I'd like to mention Zach Galligan. I heard that he was at the San Diego Con, and I missed him. I didn't get to meet him either, and I was kind of bummed about that. I always thought he's just one of the coolest actors ever. Anyway. So yeah, once again, if you receive this, it's obviously for a good reason. Your work and your kindness, your friendship, what have you, something good has brought this story your way. And I hope that's a good thing for you. Yeah, any support or blurbs or whatever for future books, it's all welcome. You got my email address. Oh yeah, and one more thing I'd like to just address about my book. It deals with my personal spirituality. This isn't, obviously, this isn't a very preachy book. I don't feel, obviously. But it deals very much with the fact that regardless of this ugly world we tend to live in, there's a point to our lives and our gifts, and we need to just keep on moving forward and help each other and be good to one another. And put all the hate and negativity away, and get a lot of the frustration out through art and all that good stuff. So God bless you. Take care. Have a great day. Thanks for listening. Bye.